Welcome back to Scout Automobile. Welcome. Start. Close your eyes for a second and imagine the sound before you imagine the shape. Not a polite sound, not a filtered, turbo-whooshed, digitized imitation of speed, but a raw, chest-punching roar that feels like it's tearing through the air itself. That sound is the soul of the Dodge Viper, and in 2026 the Viper GTS doesn't just return, it explodes back into the world with a statement that modern performance cars have been trying to avoid for years. This is not about being sensible. This is not about being quiet, efficient or easy. This is about fear, respect, adrenaline, and the kind of mechanical honesty that makes your hands sweat before you even turn the key. The 2026 Dodge Viper GTS exists in a time when most supercars feel like computers wearing carbon fiber suits. They're incredibly fast, unbelievably capable, and emotionally distant. The Viper has always been the opposite. From day one, it was a car that demanded something from the driver. It didn't ask politely. It didn't apologize. It dared you to be worthy of it. And that exact philosophy is what defines the 2026 GTS. Dodge didn't bring back the Viper to compete on spec sheets alone. They brought it back to reclaim a feeling that had nearly gone extinct. The moment you see the 2026 Viper GTS, you understand that nothing else on the road looks like it. The proportions are outrageous in the best possible way. That impossibly long hood stretches forward like the barrel of a cannon, hinting at the monster living underneath. The cabin is pushed far back, almost sitting on the rear axle, reminding you that this car was designed around an engine first and everything else second. The body is wider, lower and more muscular than ever, with sculpted fenders that look like they're flexing even when the car is standing still. Every line has a purpose. The massive front air intakes aren't decorative, they're functional, feeding cool air to a power plant. That power generates heat and fury in equal measure. The signature double bubble roof returns, a subtle nod to Viper heritage that also improves aerodynamics and helmet clearance for track days. The rear haunches are thick and aggressive, flowing into a rear end that's unapologetically bold. A wide stance, quad exhaust tips, and a functional rear diffuser tell anyone behind you that this is not a car to follow too closely. But the real magic happens when you lift that long hood, because Dodge knew exactly what fans were afraid of. They were afraid the Viper would come back with a turbocharged V6, or worse, an all-electric drivetrain with fake engine sounds piped through speakers. Dodge listened, and then they did the most Viper thing possible. They doubled down on insanity. The 2026 Dodge Viper GTS is powered by a naturally aspirated V10, and not just any V10, but a modern, heavily re-engineered evolution of the legendary Viper engine. This 8.4-liter V10 is a mechanical masterpiece in a world obsessed with downsizing. It produces over 700 horsepower and a tidal wave of torque that hits instantly, without waiting for turbos to spool or batteries to wake up. The throttle response is immediate, violent, and addictive. Press the accelerator, and the car doesn't think, it reacts. The engine note is deep, raw, and unmistakably Viper, a sound that builds from a menacing growl into a full-throated scream as the revs climb. The kind of sound that turns heads, stops conversations, and sends chills down your spine. Power is sent to the rear wheels, because anything else would be sacrilege. Dodge knows the Viper's identity is inseparable from rear-wheel drive and driver involvement. The standard transmission is a 6-speed manual, because the Viper has always been about the connection between human and machine. The clutch is heavy, the shifter is mechanical and precise, and every gear change feels earned. For those who want a slightly different flavor of chaos, Dodge also offers a performance-focused dual-clutch automatic, but even that is tuned to feel aggressive and direct, not smooth and detached. The acceleration numbers are staggering, but they're almost beside the point. Yes, the 2026 Viper GTS can sprint from 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds. Yes, it can tear through the quarter-mile in supercar humiliating times. Yes, its top speed is well north of 200 miles per hour. But what matters more is how it makes you feel while doing it. This is a car that doesn't isolate you from speed, it immerses you in it. You feel the engine through the steering wheel, the seat, the pedals. You feel the rear tires fighting for grip. You feel alive. Bend handling has always been a controversial topic when it comes to the Viper, because earlier generations were infamous for being unforgiving. Dodge didn't want to tame the Viper's spirit, but they did want to make it sharper, more capable, and more predictable at the limit. The 2026 GTS rides on an all-new lightweight chassis, combining aluminum, high-strength steel, and carbon fiber to improve rigidity while reducing weight. The suspension is fully independent, with adaptive dampers that can transform the car from brutally stiff track weapon to surprising Platinum road machine. At the pusher weights, the steering is hydraulic, not electric, because Dodge understands that real feedback matters. Every change in road surface, every shift in grip, every nuance of the front tires is communicated directly to your hands. This is something many modern performance cars have lost, and the Viper proudly brings it back. On a winding road, the car feels planted, aggressive, and incredibly precise, but it never lets you forget that it demands respect. Push too hard without skill, and the Viper will remind you who's in charge. Braking performance is equally outrageous. Massive carbon ceramic brakes clamp down with ferocity, hauling the car down from insane speeds with confidence-inspiring stability. The pedal is firm and consistent, allowing precise modulation whether you're attacking a track or navigating a mountain pass. Dodge didn't over-assist or numb the experience. They tuned the brakes to feel like a true performance machine, not a luxury car pretending to be fast. Step inside the 2026 Dodge Viper GTS and you'll find an interior that walks a fine line between modern refinement and old-school attitude. This is not a plush luxury lounge, and it's not trying to be. The cockpit is driver-focused with a low seating position that makes you feel like you're sitting in the car, not on it. The dashboard wraps around you, placing every control exactly where you need it. Materials are a massive step forward from older Vipers, addressing one of the biggest criticisms of the past. Premium leather, Alcantara carbon fiber and brushed metal surfaces create an environment that feels worthy of a car in this price and performance category. The seats are aggressively bolstered, holding you firmly in place during hard cornering without becoming uncomfortable on longer drives. They're designed for serious driving, but with enough comfort to make the Viper usable beyond the track. The digital instrument cluster is fully customizable, offering everything from classic analog-style gauges to track-focused displays with lap times, G-forces and performance data. The infotainment system is modern and responsive, supporting smartphone integration, navigation, and high-quality audio, but it never dominates the experience. Dodge knows that in a Viper, the star of the show is the engine, not the screen. One of the most impressive things about the 2026 Viper GTS is how Dodge managed to integrate modern safety and driver assistance features without diluting the car's character. Yes, it has stability control, traction control, and advanced braking systems, but they are all adjustable and defeated prans. In their most aggressive settings, they act as a subtle safety net, rather than a restrictive leash. Dodge trusts Viper drivers to know what they are doing, and that trust is built into the car's software. On the road, the Viper GTS feels like a contradiction in the best way. At low speeds, it's intimidating, with a wide body and limited rear visibility that constantly remind you of its size and power. But once you settle in, once you learn its rhythms, it becomes incredibly rewarding. The engine pulls strongly from low revs, making city driving possible without constant gear changes, while the exhaust crackles and pops just enough to keep you entertained. Open it up on a highway or a back road, and the Viper transforms. The acceleration is relentless, the sound intoxicating, and the sense of connection unparalleled. This is not a car you drive casually. It demands focus, attention, and respect, and in return, it delivers an experience that very few modern cars can match. The GTS trim represents the perfect balance within the Viper lineup. It's more refined and better equipped than the track-focused ACR, but still far more aggressive than any hypothetical base model. It's the Viper you can live with, if your definition of living includes heart-pounding acceleration and a constant grin on your face. Dodge designed the GTS to be the Viper that owners actually drive, not just admire in a garage. Exclusivity plays a big role in the Viper's appeal, and Dodge knows this. Production numbers for the 2026 Viper GTS are intentionally limited, ensuring that each car feels special. This isn't something you'll see at every traffic light. It's a modern American exotic, and it wears that title proudly. The pricing reflects this as well. The Viper GTS sits firmly in supercar territory, but for many enthusiasts, it represents incredible value when you consider the performance, the rarity, and the emotional experience it delivers. There's also a deep sense of heritage baked into the 2026 Viper GTS. Dodge didn't just revive the name, they honored it. From subtle design cues inspired by earlier generations to the philosophy of prioritizing raw performance over mass appeal, this car feels like a true continuation of the Viper story. It's a reminder of a time when cars were allowed to be a little dangerous, a little irrational, and a lot exciting. In a world racing toward electrification and autonomy, the Viper GTS feels almost rebellious. It's a car that celebrates internal combustion at its most extreme. It celebrates driver skill, mechanical sound, and physical sensation. It doesn't apologize for being loud, thirsty, or demanding. It exists because Dodge believes there's still room for passion in the automotive world. Driving the 2026 Dodge Viper GTS isn't just about getting from one place to another. It's about the ritual, the heavy door closing with a solid thud, the ignition bringing the V10 to life in a burst of sound and vibration, the careful release of the clutch, the way people look at the car when you pass by, the way your heart rate increases every time the road opens up. These are things no spec sheet can fully capture. For longtime Viper fans, the 2026 GTS feels like a dream realized. It proves that the Viper can exist in the modern era without losing its soul. For new enthusiasts, it offers something rare and increasingly valuable. A car that makes you feel something rare. It's not perfect, and it doesn't try to be. It's intense, unapologetic, and unforgettable. When you shut it down and step away, the Viper lingers in your mind. The sound echoes. the smell of hot metal and rubber stays with you. You replay moments of acceleration and cornering in your head. That's the mark of a truly special car. The 2026 Dodge Viper GTS isn't just a comeback, it's a declaration that raw, emotional performance still matters, and as long as cars like this exist, driving will never lose its soul.